Real quick before we get into our other Browns topic, I want to remind everybody, I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. And all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every single day, all summer long. All you have to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So, guys, yesterday when Mike Vrabel was asked about his role on the team and his role for game day, he said this. Steve, if you want to take this quote, I'll read it here for you. There won't be a role on game day. That's something we talked about prior to doing this, and it's the right fit for everybody. I'm going to try and be available to help throughout the week, and there will be games that I'm at to help support. This seemed a little odd to me. I think it makes sense Stefanski has him with no game day responsibilities. He is another head coach in the universe. What are your guys' thoughts on this, though, of him not having a game day role, even though he's been there every day for camp, been there throughout the week, and he'll be there around games, but he won't have an actual role?
Man, I don't want no headset either. Man, look, let them deal with that. Like, I'm a consultant. Like, that's like you're a Fortune 500 consultant that come in to fix certain things. Do you want to go to all the board meetings? No, I want to come in, circle a couple things, throw a couple things out, eat your donuts and free coffee, and get up out of there. Like, Mike Vrabel, the way football work is, the meaningful stuff that he's giving you is right now. The meaningful nuggets that you getting is right now. With him pulling JOK aside, like, hey, when that dude blocked down like that, remember, like, you should be watching this key right here. The meaningful stuff is this right here. It is working one-on-one with guys hand to hand. And this is the part about football, I think, and this is great because I think that if people went to practice more and people saw how they interacted and what they actually did, and the press was allowed to be in there and film, they would understand that most of the stuff that we talk about don't matter. The stuff that actually matters is what's going on inside those classrooms, inside, this is on the whiteboard. This is a guy right here watching film, breaking down film. Him talking to Jim Schwartz, coming up with new ideas for how to scheme week 7 against a quarterback that likes to throw the ball to the right-hand side of the field and has a tell when he passes the football. Those are the things that are important, not him getting the headset on calling stuff in the game. That's not where his place is. That's not where it should be. And this is spot on to what he was supposed to bring to the table.
I'm 100% on board with this decision. I not only think it's the right decision, I think it makes so much sense. When Vrabel was on a podcast 2 weeks ago, he was asked about his specific role with the Browns, and he said, I'm here to give the defense an offensive perspective as they game plan throughout the week, and I'm here to give the offense a defensive perspective as they game plan for the week, and then offer my expertise on certain teams and opponents that I've scouted the last couple of years. I'm also here to help with whatever Kevin Stefanski asks for my help with, and Andrew Berry. Whatever he wants, I'm here to help in that regard as well. So when you look at what he's doing on game day, let him go watch the games from the Muni Lot. Let him go at home and relax, because the real preparation, the real value Vrabel is going to bring to this team come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in the lead up to the actual football game, not when it's 3rd and 1 and Stefanski has to decide, do I call a run or a pass here? And in the split second, he has to decide, what do I do? Oh, let me ask Vrabel. It doesn't work like that. It has to be one voice, one thought when it's coming to that play calling situation. And even though Vrabel wouldn't call offensive plays, just from that overall coaching standpoint, having that other guy on the sideline that people may gravitate towards or say, hey, what is his? It doesn't matter. What he does in the 5-6 days leading up to the game is so much more valuable to the Browns and the outcome and the product that we see on the field than whatever he can contribute on the sidelines in 2-3 second spurts during a game.
By the way, I'm just remembering this is the first time I'm here since the Browns announced, or that Kevin Stefanski said he was going to call the plays, which I was thrilled to hear. To me, my biggest concern this offseason when they hired Ken Dorsey was that a lot of this was forced on Kevin Stefanski, and that some of his power was taken away from him. Once he got the extension, I felt better about it, but I felt even better about the organization when I learned that Kevin Stefanski was going to call plays. I think that was a really healthy sign for the Browns. I thought it was a major positive. I'm excited about that. The Vrabel thing, I'm with you guys. His comments are a nothing burger. There's nothing to make of it because Mike Vrabel is like, you know how a lot of you fans remember Les Levine, of course. We all love Les. He passed away a couple of years ago. We all miss him. He was a legend in the sports talk game in the city of Cleveland. And Les retired, but he would then work part-time at the Fan. Mm-hmm. And he worked when he wanted to work. And if he didn't want to work, if Andy called and said, hey, you want to do a shift? He didn't do a shift because he felt like he had to. When you're young and coming up, if the boss calls you, you better take that shift.
What time is it? 12 midnight. 12 to 1.
Exactly. Les Levine worked when he wanted to work. And that's what's happening with Vrabel right now. Like, he knows he's going to be a head coach next year.
He said it. He literally said it.
Of course. He's going to be a head coach next year. He's a great coach. He is contributing to his hometown team. He is a great benefit for this organization. He certainly doesn't want to overstep. He doesn't want to be involved in game day. That's fine. They don't need him on game day. G said one of the best things you've ever said, and it's so on the money in that last comment when you said, the most important stuff going on right now, we're not seeing that. We always react to what we see, like if we go to training camp. Yeah. I see the tweets, oh, this was a nice pass on the 7-and-7 drill. That stuff is meaningless. Training camp, when I say training camp, often I'll say training camp and this stuff is meaningless. It's meaningless to us.
Yeah.
Because we're not really learning anything.
Yeah.
It's not meaningless to them. And G is 100% right. He knows because he played at a high level of college football. That's the important stuff. It's all these little things. I love watching him run around like a lunatic at practice.
His races with Jameis are incredible. Right. Incredible.
Yeah. It's great. By the way, the one thing in Seattle, I was staying right by the Seahawks practice facility, so they had a lot going on there. In fact, I was staying in the same town Tyvus lived in when he was in Seattle. Yeah.
That look. This is the cool thing about it is, and I have to remind myself because in this industry, this is part entertainment, this is part media, this is part show, and then it's sports on the side. Like this, yes, you talk about sports, but you don't want to talk about sports at such a high level that people tune out and say, what is this guy just talking about? Sometimes, I get my football fix by, I watch defensive back drills, right? Because, I know what they're doing up front in defensive linemen, but I want to know what's going on behind me. I want to know what the linebacker calls it is. And I was sending little things to Tyvus because I'm watching how they coaching up different things like, match zones in cover 4 or cover 6 or cover 1 and just doing things. So I just passed that by and he like, man, that's weird. Like, where did you find this at? But, Mikey knows this even when it comes to some minute things like basketball. Like when somebody says, all right, you watching basketball and somebody says, oh, they're bad defensively. They don't know that there's like 9 different ways that they could be teaching the pick and roll, right? There's like 10 different ways just defensively. We could be like, we're going to leave him in the corner. We're going to float to him. We're going to ice. We're going to stem. We're going to hedge and get back. It's a lot of things that go into it. I think sometimes we do a bad job of just, sometimes really just giving way too much. We oversimplify things a little bit too much.
I remember when Buzz Williams got hired to coach the A&M basketball team, they gave up so many corner threes in the first 2 games they played, and they beat 2 bad teams, but it was way closer than it should have been. They were favored by like 30 points and 35 points. Both games came close. The other teams hit like 15 and 17 threes in the game, and all came from the corners. And I asked Buzz, I'm like, Buzz, what the hell are you doing? Like, he goes, trust us. This is how we want to play defense. The numbers dictate over the course of the season. These are the shots we want them to take. They were like a top 6 defense in basketball at the end of it. And I just wasn't aware that was intentional. They were intentionally giving up shots that I viewed as, well, that's the kind of shot you're working for. And Buzz was like, it's the shot you're working for if you can create it, not if we allow you to take it, because you'll shoot it early, you won't get into your offense, the offense gets stagnant. And it turned out, they never had the postseason success that we've expected under Buzz Williams, or at least I thought they would have. But it was intentional.
So he was a flop in the end.
Well, he's still there. He made the tournament last year. They're still there. But, unless I had asked him and he said, we're specifically forcing it, I would have been like, the hell are you doing?
See?
But we don't know. To the point is, we don't know.
We don't know what they're doing. You may see a play in practice. You're like, what the hell happened there? We don't know what they're working on.
You're just making it up. Like
same thing by judging spring training baseball. Right. I don't know what that pitcher's working on that day.
And when it comes to the throws, because Deshaun, according to all reports yesterday, went, I think 4 of 5 or 5 of 5 or 4 of 5 in the 11-on-11 drills, threw 4 touchdowns. I was always curious if when they have the play script, because it's all scripted stuff, like they know it. Are they allowing him to go through reads? do they say, hey, on this, we want you to try, look off the high safety to the right and come back left, even if he's not open, just to see how that works? Like, it's scripted to that detail, G?
They know, and he knows he's not getting hit in that
Right.
situation.
No, I
There's
know,
chance he's
which
gonna
is
get
why
hit.
I'm curious how much scripting is actually in the design play, or is it just the play that's scripted?
When we used to play, they used to, like, and it was wild because, when I was growing up, and I got to OU, and I was like, all right, first time I had been on scout team and ever, and I'm like, man, so I would be out there just running around, like, making plays. I'm like, I'm jumping this route. I'm like, man, I know you didn't get the ball to him. This is play action. You tell it, you give him a tell. And they pulled me aside and was like, hey, listen, you making plays, but that's not what the other team's gonna do. We're game planning around what they do on film. They're showing us in our film work. So if you want to help us out, we want you to make plays, but we want you to make plays by making plays the way they are. So watch the defensive lines. So what they would do is they would give me a person to watch. I would be a defensive player. They'd be like, all right, you're going to be the best defensive player on the opposite team. You go watch the tape on him.
With that in basketball.
Right?
Too, yeah.
Don't come in here taking step back jumpers, and he don't take step back jumpers.
You got to play like that guy.
Play like that guy.
Yeah, right,
and so that's how scripted it is.
Right.
And a lot of times, and that's why they don't let the cameras in there. They're like, no, you're not going to watch that.
And that's why it's so silly to overanalyze. But it's a catch-22. That's why sports is so popular, and that's why we cover it. By the way, one last before we bring in Aditi, power rankings I just looked at. I'll be curious if you guys to guess.
Say it one more time.
Where did Mike Florio rank the Browns in his power ranking?
Florio got him in the top 10.
31st.
No, he got him in the top 10. Florio then came around a little bit on the sneak tip. I think he got him at 7.
No, I'll go. Real answer. 18.
You're both wrong.
What is
12.
12. Oh, I thought you were going to go with something different
I
outside of what we
I
already
thought
know.
you was going to give us, like, I thought it was crazy. It's 12.
Well, I thought maybe because Florio, people think he's a Browns hater, that he'd be much lower.
Well, no, like Florio, like, see, he's mastered the art of, I got to give some takes sometimes, but sometimes I got to be rooted in truth. Like,